Hey everyone, this is Cheryl Morrison, your local Chicagoland real estate attorney, and today I wanted to talk about inspection repairs and whether it is better to have the seller do those repairs or if it's better to have a credit given so that the buyer can do them after the closing. The answer, like so many things with the law, is it depends. And there are three main factors that will affect whether or not it's better to have a repair done or to give a credit. The first is what type of loan that the buyer has. If the buyer has an FHA loan, along with the appraisal, they're going to be looking for minimum condition levels of the property. And if it doesn't meet those minimum standards, they will not approve the loan. So for instance, if the home does not have GFCIs in the laundry room right next to the laundry sink, then that's something that more likely than not is going to come up in that report. And the seller will have to fix that for the buyer to get their financing. So in that event, if there's an FHA loan, and especially if it's one of those safety issues and the other things that are common to come up with those FHA appraisals, it makes sense for the seller to be doing those repairs because they'll need to be doing them anyway. Secondly, it also makes a difference whether or not there is already a closing cost credit to buyers as part of the negotiated terms of the contract. Very frequently, we'll see contracts come in that have, a purchase price of X with a seller credit of Y for closing costs, and that is actually limited in some instances based on the type of loan product that your client has. For instance, it's common in some loans for there to be a limit of, say, 3%. So if it is, you're already getting Y, which is 3% of the purchase price in closing cost credits, then the seller really can't give any credits beyond that for repairs because the lender isn't going to approve that much of a credit to buyer from seller at closing. So in that instance, again, the seller is going to be needing to do some fixes. The most important thing, however, though, is really your comfort level. As a buyer, you want to think about whether or not you want to be able to move into the property and have all of these issues already done so that you are more readily able to move in and start living there, or whether you want more control over the process. So for instance, especially if you are planning on moving in, if it's something that is a health or safety concern, absolutely, maybe you want it done first. Additionally, if it's an item that might end up, as they start fixing it, that there is a bigger project behind that, perhaps you want to find that out before you close. So at the very least, you are aware of those additional costs, if not actually have the seller be obligated to fix them. So for instance, if you have a foundation repair, and we think that it's going to be a $2,000 fix, but once they start digging, we find out that it's really $10,000. You have a lot more choices then if you haven't already closed that loan to be able to figure out that issue. Again, whether it ends up being that the seller then, pays for the additional repairs needed, or you negotiate something in the middle, or the buyer just is able to close being fully aware of the scope of that issue. So there's that. On the other hand, though, if it's something that, is a of course, a major component or a safety or health concern. But there also is some component of, the finish that you want, such as your windows. Perhaps the windows that are in there are a low-end window and, the seals are shot. The seller in fixing them might and would more likely than not be in the right to say that they'd replace them with the same level of window. Now, if you are planning on moving into this house and being there for a long term, you might want a window that is better energy efficiency and better than the ones that are in there. In that instance, maybe you want to take the credit for the level of windows that are in there and put it toward better windows after you move in. So in that instance, you probably want to do that work yourself. So there are lots of different things to consider with this, and it's really important that you are working with an attorney who can talk you through all of these things, that can make sure that we address all these issues and consider them, whether you are the buyer or the seller. Certainly, even though I'm talking with this last part about it from the buyer's perspective. There's the same thing, just reverse, from the seller's perspective to consider as well. And you really want someone who can talk you through this so that we can make sure that you come to the best solution for you in negotiating with the other party to the transaction, so that we find something that works for everybody. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. If you are a realtor or a loan officer out there, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about how I handle inspection reports, so that we can come up with a great way to serve our clients, our mutual clients, in these issues. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.